Hey guys, Danny Johnson here, and today I wanted to talk about a country where I lived for 2 years called Uruguay. It's located in South America and has a lot of coastal area to it. The word Uruguay is actually from a language in Guarani, which is like an Indian language more found in Paraguay, and it means river snail or bird river. And so that's the translation for it. But very tranquil place, kind of very flat as you'll see, a lot of grass, and so I'll get into some more pictures on that. Here it is on a map. Uruguay has a lot of coastal area, as I mentioned. It's about a little more than halfway down in South America and on the coast. And the first thing I wanted to mention is when you get off the airplane, you'll notice that it'll be the exact opposite climate from the United States. So it was snowing where I left the United States. And as soon as I got to Uruguay, the plane door opened and I was greeted with a huge blast of heat and the smell of very humid there. So big smell of grass and burning grass, because that's how they take care of a lot of their overgrown grass. And so very hot, very humid, and it'll be a little different in the winter. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. You'll see signs advertising American Airlines can take you right back to the United States. That gets you a little homesick through Buenos Aires or Ascension. So here's the money. I wanted to talk about it a little bit. You have the Uruguayan peso, which is about 25 pesos to the dollar, give or take. And so when you see that 100 peso bill on the bottom left, that would be about $5. The 500 peso would be about $20, and so on and so forth. $1,000 peso up there is going to be about 40, kind of close to a $50 bill, not quite as much, but that's just an idea of some of their currency. Here is a 2,000 Uruguayan peso bill, and very uncommon. I think I only saw one of those once. They have a twin tower system, which is similar to ours, and for their world trade, and I went there and did a lot of the banking as part of my job down there, and so I was taking care of that. It's not uncommon driving around to see people laying on the side of the road protesting, who knows what they're doing, and signs about foot and mouth disease when you get towards borders. This was near the border of Brazil, in the northern area where I was once. So I want to talk a little bit about the living conditions, climate, housing, kind of what to expect, what it looks like. This is kind of my first area here. You can see there are paved roads and sidewalks, not very high quality, but telephone poles or power poles that are made of cement, and you know, it does the job. It's not as perfect as you see here. There's a guy in the background walking around with a trash bin. So they have interesting city jobs there, but notice in the background there's bars over all the stores, and that's a supermarket behind me. And every place has bars. Now that's one area. The other area you would see is something like this, where there's no paved roads, there's water just flowing from people's houses as sewage, and you can imagine the smell. Then it gets a little nicer. There's the more paved area and a little more put together areas, and then there's the rural areas, which I enjoyed the most just because it looked the most pretty to me, in my opinion. So you did have some nice areas as well. And of course, I'm living down there as a missionary, and so I'm actually living where most people live, not in the tourist area. So I thought that was kind of an interesting experience. But you did have some paved roads, you had dirt roads. This is a connecting road here, and in comparison, here's another one that's just dirt. Uruguay does a lot with herding cattle, and meat was one of their biggest things, though when I was there they had to do a lot of exporting because of their economy not doing very well. So anyway, as you can see, there's plenty of open spaces to run amok and to enjoy your day. Here's the city view. Once you get more downtown, this is Malvin. This is near Montevideo, really nice area near the coast. This was one of the places where we did not live often, but we were able to visit an office where I worked. Very nice. This was a mission home where the mission president lived, and you could see very high quality as it could be. Here's more downtown. You can see looks kind of rundown graffiti, and that graffiti is actually advertising for political offices. They put signs up. And here's some more just downtown area and stores called Tata, and you know, some nice stores. This is one of my first houses. You can see the kind of building material that was used. It was raining that day, but with all the humid, you get some mold growing and things like that. Inside the house, you can see they lay down tile, but with nothing under it. So it's literally dirt underneath that, and the dirt will come up from underneath the ground. The front door of this house looked like this, very low quality, very small, thin door. So you get that feeling you could be robbed. The sewage system, did work every once in a while. You did have some problems, but, no major complaints. There were a lot of spiders and such that would obviously get underneath the front door and get into the house very easily. And you'd find those spiders on your clothes and things like that. And with that, you'd be able to find some nice spider bites on you every once in a while. So it's something you really had to kind of watch out for. Going back to one of my first houses that I lived in, if you look at the roof, it's called chapa, and it's just a wavy pattern. That's it. So there's no insulation. It's just that material, and so when it rains, it's very loud. When it's hot, when you're in the house on a hot summer day, it's as if a heat wave is just directly right over you. So it is very hot in there. No air conditioning, of course. Just a fan. That kind of thing. It'd be common to find people break up glass and put it on their walls as a self-defense kind of a thing, which I thought was kind of interesting, keep people out of their area. This is what my room would look like on a normal thing, just brick walls and try to make it nice. But the paint is funny because they mix it up in a bag of chalk type stuff. You'd spray it on, and then when it would dry, it was a white powder. So if you rubbed up against the walls, you'd have white come back off onto your fingers like a chalk. Here's a living room of kind of a normal place. These were one of the nicer places. It was called Mavir, and it was, kind of like a pre-built place where every house looked the same in a building development, and I really liked those houses. This is funny. This is your hot water for the shower. You basically have electrical lines going in and heating the top head unit, and I shocked myself pretty bad just reaching up and trying to adjust the water. You had to have the water barely on a trickle just for it to come out warm. If the water was on normal, it was a cold shower, and that was normal. You can see here there's the tank is what I wanted to show in the background there for the toilet. It's up high for better pressure. Your average electrical lighting is just one light bulb, and it's all 220 volt is what I understand. Got shocked by that one pretty bad. This is funny. This is a heating element that you would plug in and then put down into your water, and that's how you would heat water. Very primitive and dangerous way of doing that, and I'll show you some mate a little later to show you what they heated water for. Here's another picture of a bedroom. This one was nice enough to have tile floor. Sorry, that's a little out of focus there. But this is a very nice house right here. You can see bars on the windows as we're locking it up, and you can kind of get an idea. But here it is with the dirt coming through the tile again, as I'm trying to show, is that no matter how much you try to clean, you just have dirt coming through. Here's a ride on a bus. Very beautiful area. Pediopolis is what it was called. Nice area. Here's another downtown. Lady wondering what I'm doing, but anyway, just to show you, some of it was pretty nice looking. You did have some overpasses and bridges and some good infrastructure there, as well as some very friendly people. And the people down in Uruguay, a lot of them are from Europe, so they're the Caucasian. And anyway, here's the house. Here's a roof, a perfect example of a roof that we put on a house as a service project. As you can see, it's cement, and so they would hand up buckets and buckets of cement, and very dangerous when you're thinking about it. I'm just thinking about this coming down on you when you're sleeping at night. And so that's how they were building it. You can see these cinder blocks. This is how you built the houses down there. They're just cinder blocks with cement roofs, sometimes just the chapa metal roof, which I think would be even more safe than that. But anyway, that's an idea for you. Main transportation is your bike, but I wanted to show the climate here. When it gets cold, it just mists all day long. And so here I am soaking wet and going out into that every day. But I just wanted to show you that that's kind of what the winters are like. No snow, but just a mist, a constant, as if you had a mister blowing on you all day, and very cold. Kind of a bad picture here. This is just inside one of the other houses I lived in. Tile floors, little indoor cooking thing. Funny little tractor thing that we found just parked along the side of the road. Probably used, a lot earlier in time. Now we'll talk about some of the food, and I don't have pictures of everything or the most common. Most commonly was pasta because of the European descent. They did have what they called asado, which was, barbecue, as you can see here in these pictures. The meat was really good when they would cook it up, and that was one of their specialties, but like I said, they had to export it often. And so here's somebody, this is typical corner thing. You just have some grill going and people cooking. You had panaderias, which were like, bakeries, and they had what were called bizcochos, which I'll get to in a minute, really good. And it wasn't uncommon to find some, friends in your food as you're eating and ordering out. And they, up near Brazil, they did a lot of beans and rice, which that part of it wasn't that great. Here's some of these bizcochos, which I loved. As close to donuts as you can get, custard filled, sugary, very good. And alfajores is what these ones were called. And so these are just basically little cookies covered in chocolate and then marshmallow in the center. And that was very common to have those. They sold those everywhere. All of the milk and yogurt came in bags, and so you could do fun tricks like this, like see how far you could start to arch it. But that was one of the bigger jobs that people were hoping to get, is to deliver milk. And it was all in bags, as I said, Contaprole, or I can't remember how you pronounce that, but that was the main milk company down there. And other people would, make flan and other cakes as part of the thing. And if you were absolutely lucky enough, you could find a McDonald's, but very few, only in Montevideo, I believe. Maybe some other bigger cities had it, but they did have a McDonald's, and it was a luxury to eat there. Very high end for people to go there. And as you can see by this menu, 82 pesos. So, you're $3 or $4 for a Big Mac. And I don't know that that was even a combo meal, but at any rate, it is there and it is available. So now I'll get into mate. So what it is this grass type thing, and that straw coming out of there has little filters and a hole in the bottom. And so you pour hot water over it and you slurp it up. And so you're basically just drinking grass flavored water. And it has a lot of caffeine in it as well, I guess, is what they're saying. You can find places that would sell hot water only, so that you could fill up your thermos, and you'd see people carrying thermoses in their mate all day. I ate hot dogs all the time. That's, about all you could really find, and you could find 2-liter bottles of soda. Fanta was very big down there, especially as you got up towards Brazil. That's where you could find the grape Fanta. And Coca-Cola, I want to mention, is very, very pronounced down there. Everywhere you can find Coca-Cola. It's a little more expensive than the other cheaper drinks that they have. But here's a banner that's coming out of a window. And anyway, it's very common. I want to talk a little bit about the infrastructure now. And just kind of the roads and all that. Just about every city had what was called a plaza. It's like a park where you could go and sit down, and it was really nice. Of course, there were some graffiti and people who were jerks, but you can see a bench back there in the background. Really nice places to sit down that they had in each city. Downtown, you could find a parking lot with, curbing and everything. It looked like a regular place. Downtown Montevideo and such, as you can see here, looks like a regular city. But yeah, it's not too common. You'll see these yellow taxis, black and yellow taxis in the background. But really beautiful when you're getting near the coast, like in this picture. And really nice places downtown. You can see there's not really lines in the road. People just kind of merge with each other and drive, but it's on the right-hand side. Here's a downtown, very nice neighborhood. This is about as nice as it gets. Cement roads and nice grass and trees. But that's very uncommon for it to be this nice. That's just that's probably the nicest place in Uruguay itself that you'd find. But a very nice area down there. Here's more of the supermarket, main one. The Shant is what it was called. Really big one. Really nice place. This is San Ramon, a city. So as you can see, it's kind of a mixture. There are paved roads. They're not very well maintained. And here we're back to Montevideo again. On the road, the Rambla that goes next to the river. More infrastructure. They did have good power. I never really had too many power outages other than during big storms. Even there's a caution sign telling you that it's high voltage and all that. Back to the sewage system, it worked just fine if you needed it to. So really not too much to complain of. The big companies were Ontel, the the telephone company, and so that was the Ontel building right there, and it actually had a few windows broken out from a storm. But here it is again. It was one of the biggest buildings in Uruguay, and kind of like a Batman type building. Natural gas is huge. That's how you cook every day, is on gas. You just refill your propane tank. And Ose was the water company, and they did a pretty good job. I just wouldn't recommend drinking the water. Transportation wise, this is what I got to talk about here, is the garbage. If you can see, this guy is going after the garbage. So instead of trash cans, they have a pole, and on top of that pole is a basket full of trash. And so that's how you take your trash out, is you put it in that basket. However, you would have people literally come by and get the trash before the trash could come get it. And this was the result. People would dig through the garbage, take it all back, and find anything that was good and throw the rest of it outside, even right outside where they're living. And so this is what I call the Sucio River, or the dirty river. And that was a result, and you can imagine the smell that comes with that. Hospitals, not the best down there. I was a little weary. I had some other friends who were in it all the time, and when I got sick like this, I basically just toughed it out and had a lot of stomach aches, and I think it was just mainly my body just trying to get used to the difference in the water and everything down there. Not so much that it was poisonous or anything, but sorry, I have to show you this picture too, but that's how I spent a lot of days down there. As you can see, there's a lot of mold that grows in corners because of the humidity and just that area. However, that was the mail in the background, that last picture, El Correo, and the mail system worked pretty well down there. Here's more infrastructure of that Shant place. And next I'm going to show you a bridge which they claim, the amount of money they spent on this, they could have paved every road in Uruguay, but decided to build this one bridge instead. Here's more of the roads, really nice looking when you're downtown, and interesting yellow and black there. Some of the main highways were very nice and okay maintained. Yeah, nothing to really complain about. Another beautiful area here, I think this is Pediapolis again. And just nice coastal area, so it is beautiful for tourists. Here's downtown city, and it looks pretty good. The sidewalks are an interesting material, just tiles that they lay down. Here's Vamos con Pedro, or Vote for Pedro. I thought that was funny. There's a movie called Napoleon Dynamite that reminded me of that. Here's more downtown, as you can see, and lots of trees. And these Peugeots were very common, that kind of car on the left. We'll get into that. And here's the one of their main capital, older buildings. But we'll talk about transportation here. One of the very main transportation was the bus system, and so whenever you're going city to city, you rode a bus. And downtown you'll see some other pictures of that, but this was the Tres Cruces, or Three Crosses bus terminal. And so it was a big meeting place for you to go basically anywhere throughout Uruguay, and also into other countries like the neighboring Argentina, and even all the way to Paraguay or Brazil. So this is a big bus terminal, and I did like the bus system. They were very well. Here's a downtown city bus, however, and that was common to just going for commute around town. A lot of Mercedes down there was the main brand that I saw a lot. I wanted to take that sign home with me. I thought it was pretty cool. But some of the buses were getting older and not very well maintained, so there's graffiti or bad smelling kind of stuff. But some of the newer ones, like this one, were very nice. And the bigger ones were better. The smaller city buses, they would cram as many people on there as could fit. They didn't care about capacity signs, and so you just squeezed on. These other ones like this, however, Rutas del Plata, very nice bus line, very, very nice to travel on. Cars, you did see some really nice ones every once in a while. This was up near Brazil again. And but other than that, the main form was bicycle, and this bike that I bought was a Brazilian brand one. And I mean, that was a very nice bike, and it's one of the cheapest type ones you'd find at Walmart is equivalent on quality. But I put a Z71 logo on it, and just thought it was pretty cool. But anyway, I really enjoyed that bike, and that was you can see there's a little mud flap on the back and on the front wheel. It's kind of common. Otherwise, there are horse and buggy still going around strong, and even merging in traffic. You'll see those everywhere. Otherwise, the taxis like this, these black and yellows, were pretty common, and a lot of diesel vehicles were common down there. Here's more of these taxis, as you can see, just cruising through town. Very common. Not too many people did drive, and they would remind you. You'd see this on the side of the road. They'd put up a smashed up car for somebody who was driving under the influence. This was funny because this is a Chevrolet S10, but it has the Isuzu front end on it. I thought that was pretty neat. And if you look in the back, it has the amber taillights for the export. So for some reason, Chevrolet puts the Isuzu version of their truck down there instead of the other one. And so here's a few more pictures of that, but it's your regular S10. I thought that was a really neat little truck. A lot of them standard transmission. Here was a bigger Chevrolet Silverado, and those bars are very common. Everybody loves to put the roll bars on them. And next, this is a four-door Ranger, the first one I'd ever really seen in my life. But they're all over down there because people can't afford the midsize, or they're just not going to give you a midsize truck. They'd rather make the smaller ones do, and so a lot of four-door Rangers. This was my absolute favorite vehicle down there, the Tacoma, really, but it's called the Toyota Hilux. And this is a 3-liter turbo diesel, beautiful truck, manual transmission, 2-wheel drive. Didn't really need anything else other than that. Don't mind the Ferrari logo, that was just kind of a joke, but beautiful truck. If they sold this truck here, I think I'd own one, because it was fast, it was smooth, very, very nice truck. I'm surprised they don't sell them in the United States, but I guess it's an emissions thing, why they didn't do it, or they don't want it to compete with the Tundra too much. But really nice D4D 6-cylinder 3-liter turbo diesel. But yeah, very, very nice truck. I enjoyed driving that one a lot. As I said, a lot of it was manual transmission, so you'd see these contraptions for the locks where it would lock your car. However, it was locking it in neutral, and so you'd have to put it in neutral to lock it, so it's not very safe in my opinion. Don't know why they decided to do that. As you can see, everything was measured in kilometers, and it didn't even have a miles per hour on there at all. Here's the tachometer, nothing really too special there, just a picture of it though. Lower red line for being a diesel. And beautiful driving truck, nice area, drove really nice on those roads. And the main roads that truck drove on, no problems there. People would come up and beg you for money. That's normal in probably just about any third world country. And some people would even do tricks like this. They're juggling in the street. They'd wash your windshield and then stick out their hand and ask for money. And then you did have some scary people banging on your window for money too. So that's kind of the more scary part of it. Here you have a bottle on top of a car, which represents it's for sale. That's what that meant. And here is a 96 to 98 Mustang, and yes, those are export taillights if you can see them. It's got some amber taillights on there. Hard to see in this picture, but that was a V6 Mustang. And I did see a few V6 white Mustangs down there. And here's another one, 94, 95, judging by the horizontal taillights. But I was very happy to see that when I was down there. And here's another one with amber taillights on it, 96 to 98 V6, just like the one I actually owned at the time. Here was a bigger Chevrolet, very, very uncommon. I saw, I think, 2 or 3 of those down there was all. And here's a big diesel one, which was parked at the U.S. Embassy. So, very rare to see these, but they did exist. There was an Expedition here, just when you saw something like that, it was like seeing a Ferrari. Even one of these V6 Accords here, very rare to see that, but it's kind of neat. The more typical cars were something like this, more practical for the Uruguayans. And getting back into the structure here, we had a storm that came through, and you can see how the sidewalks are just tiles that are laid down, and this metal or cement pole just fell. Here was a nice Mitsubishi car that they do not sell in the U.S. that I'm aware of, and it was a really nice minivan type thing. Pilsen was the main beer company down there. You saw Pilsen more than Coca-Cola, or about the same, and it's funny, this car was crashed next to that. And here's another picture of the airport again, just more talking about the structure. The airport just seemed like a regular country. Here I am just jokingly, talking to the entire city and preaching to them, but you can see how that looks. Here's more downtown by the port. There was, got a little more downtown nitty gritty, kind of scarier kind of place. Enforcement is kind of funny. I got my first ticket by them walking out and just basically telling me to pull over, putting their hand over. I wasn't even pulled over by another car, about a $60 ticket there. You can see this police officer here in the middle directing traffic, and looks like he's a stormtrooper or something. There are some interesting animals, including armadillos and one called the carpincho, which is an oversized guinea pig. Wish I had a picture to show you on that one. Climate, we kind of talked about. It mists when it gets rainy. The only real problem are big storms that come through every once in a while, just being on a coastal storm. And it'll knock trees down all over the place and poles and some bigger things. Really not too much infrastructure there. And here's a huge tree that got uprooted one night through that really bad storm, but it wasn't too common. Sunsets were beautiful there on the coast. So you can see the colors and everything that was up near Brazil. Here's that shopping center. So this was kind of like the equivalent of a Walmart. There's really only like one of them. And here I'm eating some Captain Crunch that I got from the United States, shipped to me, and I would eat one pebble per day because I've loved it. Another beautiful sunset here, just kind of shows you what it looks like. This was in one of the nicer downtown areas. Yeah, South America has some very beautiful sunsets and sunrises. By the beach here, another beautiful area. Sidewalks done a little more for tourism. This was called La Mano or El Mano. This is the hand, La Mano. It's the hand, and so it was kind of signifying that somebody was drowning, is what that statue was. But this is the more tourist area, and so more beautiful and a little bit higher maintained. Up by Brazil, I found some macaroni and cheese, so I loaded up as much of it as I could. It was very hard to get that otherwise. Another Catholic churches, a lot of those around, really big cathedrals. Then even the radio station Maria 104.5 FM. That's another downtown. Here's the Capitol, or one of the more Capitol-like buildings. And so here's more downtown area. As you can see, it's more apartment buildings and nicer stuff. Here's another area with just downtown and more by the water, which is more of a murky brown color, and more apartment type buildings, places where people would vacation. And yeah, just another picture down there by the beach. Really nice area there. Really nice cement work done, and it's just all tiles. So nice coastal area. And Artigas is their kind of George Washington hero, and so he was all over in all the parks and the plazas. And once again, this is one of their Capitol type buildings, and so I made my way in and made sure to get on their TV station and let them know all of how a Mustang should be the primary car anywhere they go. Just joking about that, but this is inside the main area again. And underground, there's actually an underground pass that connects the Capitol building to the other building we were in. Kind of neat artwork. And this is just a interesting logo in the roundabout, so kind of a nice area there. More downtown area, you can see some AC units attached to some buildings. Very uncommon to have AC, but it's kind of run down, kind of grungy type feel in some of these areas. No different than I guess other places. And I liked this more area. You can see a shipping container crane there, so as you got towards the coast, I think that was the one of my favorite areas, either that or out rural in the middle of nowhere. Here's more shipping container terminals, and you can see some older cars driving around there too. Here's all the taxis lined up at the bus station again, Tres Cruces bus terminal. And just to give you an idea of what the inside of a house looks like, this is it. The walls are painted with that chalky type paint. People, really nice people. But anyway, you did have normal things you could find, like fire extinguishers. This is inside one of the churches, and as you can see, very high quality granite, nice tile, and very uncommon to see that kind of thing. This is a bridge gapping that brings Uruguay and Brazil together, and so it was interesting. Right when you get on the other side of that bridge, everything changes. The road changes, the industry changes. There's supermarkets with freezers and other sections that you didn't find in Uruguay. So it's very interesting, just the difference in each country, just right on the border. And here's more along that area. This is a nicer area. This is Rio Branco, right up there on the border of Brazil. But the roads were paved pretty nice and pretty well maintained. You got a lot of shops. This is out in the middle of nowhere again, in some rural area, and they had some kind of historic site here that I went to, and they were talking about some of the strange things that they had going on, and trade and blacksmithing and slavery and that kind of. It looks like there's an Indian type person there, and in some of these places they even had a picture of somebody being whipped. But anyway, here's a really nice house again that we lived in. You can see it's just cinder blocks and windows and bars over the windows. Here's another picture representing a lot of the sidewalks, just these tiles that they would lay down. And a lot of cement work there. We're getting into some of the shops here. This is a bus station. Buy your ticket to wherever you need to go. This is back on that bridge going to Brazil. And so it's kind of a neat bridge to go to and travel into Brazil for a minute and get some nice things. There weren't really too nice things you could find in Uruguay, but you get to Brazil, you get things like these Victorinox cases and even the knives, and so I thought that was pretty neat. Got myself a Swiss Army knife, even though I own several, just because I like the Swiss Army brand. And just an idea, this is a picture of just about every nice thing that I owned at the time. Your model truck, Swiss Army watch and knife and card, and you know, just didn't really have too many nice things to carry around, and didn't really want to get robbed either. This is blood in the street from a bunch of dogs fighting the night before, so it's kind of a scary thing there. You could buy nice sandwiches on the side of the road. It's like a chicken sandwich there, basically. Though in the supermarkets it's funny because they would just be set out on the shelf, not wrapped or anything. So kind of a strange thing. Every once in a while you would find a nice store like this that has everything that you would more normally find in the United States, but this is more towards Brazil again. Here's a shop that had electronics, you know, and once again, you're 220 volts, so can't buy just anything. This was a perfume shop that was very nice to go into because of the smells that you could find in Uruguay. It was nice to get a nice cologne or whatnot, and at least have yourself smelling a little bit better as you're walking through very humid places, and as I mentioned before, some places that showed some trash. Their swap meets had some very interesting things, including a boar's head. So you could find very, very strange things, and I'd stick back to the nice Swiss Army stuff. So sorry, I was a little obsessed here, but here's a few more pictures of me enjoying some Swiss Army products and some, you know, higher class things that I went back and forth about buying, and it came with a nice backpack, and so anyway, that's why I like the Swiss Army brand a lot. Very high quality stuff, and so there's probably a few more pictures on that than we really needed to go over. But anyway, really nice. It was very nice to find a perfume shop place like that. Jobs, a lot of people there, you know, they were selling items out of their home. They'd convert their whole home into a store. You did find some people who had some skills, like a watchsmith. He put a new battery in my watch, did a great job. A lot of the natural gas, as we spoke about, people driving around, and you would see somebody like this on a little moto, which is a form of transportation, with 4 or 5 tanks strapped to him, carrying them around. So very dangerous, but they'd get the job done. It was very hard to find good work down there. This is a very interesting house. Just had to put this picture up. I don't know what was going on. It was near the airport. And here's this Nunez Happy Travels bus line. Very nice place. And here's Brazil. See how the roads are different? Everything is just different as soon as you step foot into their country. They had different phone systems, different curbing, different building structures, and everything like that. So once again, here's a beautiful sunset there, and not too much to see here. Once again, one more picture of my favorite place on the border of Brazil and in Uruguay here. And here I am standing on that bridge with a United States note, a Federal Reserve note. I loved the history that was involved in the U.S. dollars that I would look over, but also had an Alcohol's Anonymous and other things. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good day.